Hello, my name is Bill Rivas. I'm one of the authors of Social Emotional Learning in the Home. Social Emotional Learning is sweeping the country in classrooms and other academic settings. There's been a great deal of research that has documented the significant positive impacts on people's lives when they develop social emotional learning. As you'll see when we move on in this video, those impacts include life impacts, school impacts, and career impacts. This video is broken into three parts. The initial part, we will talk about the research that indicates the impact of social emotional skills on people's lives, their academic success, and their career success. In the next part, we will look at the 5 areas of social emotional learning. We will align each of those areas of social emotional learning with observable habits of successful people. And then finally, we will go into the process of teaching or learning new skills, be that academic skills, social, or emotional skills. As you can see with this slide, employers are becoming increasingly aware of the importance of social emotional skills in the workplace. As noted here, employers are identifying the fact that they are able to find people who have the technical skills that they need, but in many cases, those people don't have the social and emotional skills needed to work effectively in the workplace. We're also going to take a look with this slide at the impact of academic performance. You can see what a significant amount of growth there is in academic performance when students are taught social emotional skills. This study, as you can see on the right, was a very large study of over 97,000 students. It also looked at decreases in some of the social problems that are happening in society and the impact of social emotional skills on students as they relate to these social problems. This slide was a 20-year longitudinal study of students from kindergarten through age 25 and looked at the impact on their lives when there were social emotional learning skills or a lack of social emotional learning skills. Now I'm going to move into the 5 areas of social emotional learning. We first got involved in social emotional learning with our book, Social Emotional Learning in the Classroom. This book is now used by over 100 school districts nationally as the foundation for social emotional learning that is taking place in schools. And you can see here are the 5 major areas. As I go through the 5 areas of social emotional learning, I'm not going to read the definitions and read the specific skills, although they will appear on the screen, so you'll have an opportunity to see them. Rather, I'm going to talk about real individuals and how these skills were either developed or how the possession of these skills changed their lives for the positive. I'm going to begin by talking about a young man who had a complex academic career. At age 3, he was identified with some issues related to processing of information. In fact, his mother had noticed that he did not seem to be acquiring language as quickly as his older sister had. Although girls tend to acquire language earlier than boys, there seemed to be more of a delay. So the mother contacted the school tested the child, and found that he had some processing issues. He had difficulty taking in information auditorily as well as other children. So they provided him with speech and language therapy, and by kindergarten, he was in a general education classroom with no additional supports. Now, as the years went on, when he reached 8th grade and the academics became more difficult, his mother again noticed that a level of frustration at home and a lowering of success. When she contacted the school, they decided to again test him and found similar types of issues, some auditory processing and other kinds of things that were getting in the way of his learning. So he was placed on an individual education plan. When he entered high school, the resource room would work with him 1 day a week with a assistant teacher. And the assistant teacher also, coincidentally, happened to be in a couple of classes in which he also attended. So what they found by watching him was that whenever he would get stuck, he would shut down. He would just stop. And this was often not picked up by teachers because he didn't act out, he didn't show any outward frustration. He would just stop thinking about anything that he had to do. And they noticed this also in his period that he was in the resource room. So they asked him, do you see this happening when you get stuck with something difficult in class? And he thought about it and he said, gee, I'm not really sure. So they said, well, try this. Try to monitor yourself and see where and when this happens. So he came back a week later and he said, yeah, I see myself doing that. In fact, it happens the most in mathematics. So what they did is then they asked him, well, why don't you raise your hand and get some assistance? He immediately responded, well, if I raise my hand, everybody in the class is going to know how stupid I am. So what had happened now is he had an awareness, his parents had an awareness, and the school had awareness of this counterproductive impulse reaction to something that was difficult for him to do. The challenge now for parents and for the school was to help him develop strategies that he would use in place of the counterproductive impulse strategy. And we refer to these as cognitive override strategies. As we go on to the next area, self-management, we will talk about these types of strategies and talk about how these strategies were used by the student to become successful in high school and successful in college. To learn more about how you can adjust your parenting to positively impact the development of social emotional learning skills in your children, please go to our website, rebusassociates.com, and click on Publications. There you will see a copy of the introduction that you can read and learn more about the book. You will see a link to a sign-up area to join a virtual book club with other parents based on our book, Social Emotional Learning in the Home. And you will also see a link with a description of a program that our authors provide in which they actually come to a school or a district and give a 90-minute presentation on how to develop social emotional learning skills in children through your parenting.